Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
And I'm Emory Pipkin.
Thanks for joining us again this week. So today, Emory's sitting in for James because we are shifting over to doing some marketing and client acquisition. And Emory is a maverick when it comes to marketing. So we have him in on this one. But today we're going to talk about step number 4 in our 7-point operating system. In the operating system, we've got vision and structure, number 1. Number 2 is job description, job roles. We know what you're doing. We know what your employees are doing. Step number 3 is your core process definition. We're documenting every core process of what you need to be doing to operate the company. And now we go into step 4, which is marketing and client acquisition. This is where we kind of have different levels of this, right, Emory? So we walk people through from really what they need to do if they're starting a company, all the way through paid ads. How are we, Meta and Google and all of that. So today we're going to kind of walk through that. Emory's going to take us through, and we're going to focus on our 10 faucets of marketing. And we call them faucets because we want to be able to turn them on and off to where we have some and kind of control which ones we're turning on. So of these 10, you're not going to hit them all. You're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe that you use. 2 of them won't be for you. Maybe 4 of them won't be. And so we're going to walk through them today, kind of in order as there's not really a set rhyme or reason. Some of these are kind of more up front, and we'll talk about that. And some of these are as you start growing, like the paid stuff. Mm-hmm. But we're going to walk through kind of our 10 faucets that you can turn on. If you're listening to this, take some notes, kind of find 1 or 2. You're like, dude, I want to do that. I want to do that. Write it down, and let's make a game plan to get those executed.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some foundational ones that everyone needs to have,
yeah,
no matter what. And then, of course, there are some optional ones as we go along further into this. But, just starting off, the first one is going to be one that I think most people are very familiar with, and that's word of mouth.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is your foundation. It's where you start. A lot of people don't think of it as marketing, but it really is. And it's where you sort of propel everything else that you do. If people aren't recommending you to their friends, to their neighbors, you have a foundational problem that you need to address.
Well, and this is why the marketing is step 4, not 1.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like I got to get everyone in the door and start doing work. Now let's figure out some good processes. You're not going to get that word of mouth if you don't have a good product that you're putting out. And we always talk about the 2 products, the kitchen that they're receiving, the new build that they're receiving. The secondary product that's almost more important is the client's experience of receiving it, the communication, how you're leading them down the road. And so until you have that set up, when your sister has a friend that needs a renovation and they're like, I like him, I want to support my brother, but I don't know if I really want to put my name on that for my friends, then we're not there yet, right?
Yeah.
And that's the friends and family you're talking about, the word of mouth that we need to build. It's kind of the base layer of marketing.
Yeah, because I mean, if people aren't going to recommend you, they're not going to review you well. And it's if you have 10, 20 leads coming in, and none of those people will recommend you to other people, and they're not going to use you again. You know what I mean? It's just like eventually you're going to reach a spot where you've kind of saturated your market, and no one wants to work with you. So definitely having that foundation of referrals, people recommending you, a high level of client satisfaction is the basis for any successful marketing in this industry, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, you can live on organic word of mouth alone.
Oh, yeah.
One-man shows do that all the time. Everything else we're going to talk about is how we pile on top of that, how we go from that base level of, I got some organic growth because, we did this person's house and their neighbor saw and their neighbor wants us to do their house. That's the organic stuff that should be happening. If that's not happening, we got a product issue, right? We've got a delivery issue. We've got a client experience issue. But that's kind of the main baseline that has to be there. I've seen guys come into the industry and they have that going. The first year is booming. By year 2, it's not booming. And that's because people this is the wake up call. People don't want to suggest you to their friends and family.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's the problem, then we need to go back to the first 3 steps of job description, vision, where we're headed, how we're delivering the product, what's the project management process, the 10 steps that we're walking through, what's the product quality, how are you managing your calendar, why aren't you communicating, like all of that stuff that we need to solve to really turn up the marketing. And it's step 4 because until those first 3 things are perfected, it's wasting money and time to try to do marketing beyond that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the friends and family, getting referrals after a job, kind of doing, having systems in place of where we're asking for, hey, we live on referrals. If you have anyone that you need, that's a great place to start the friends and family referral network.
Yep.
All right. So what's something else we could be doing? What's another faucet?
So one of the next most important parts of marketing, and again, I think we're going to start with organic marketing. So the first few things we're going to talk about are just free things.
Yeah.
Things you can do without spending any money. It's just time and effort. And so the next part of this is organic web traffic. And what I mean by that primarily is your Google My Business profile.
Yep.
If you don't know what a Google My Business profile is, if you go to Google and you search contractors near me, and there's a map that pops up with a couple of boxes of companies with reviews and photos, and it looks very different to your regular search entries that show up. So it was pretty easy to spot where your Google My Business is. That is super important in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mainly because a majority of homeowners nowadays go to Google when they don't have a contractor in their referral base, right? If they don't have a contractor that's being recommended to them or have one that they've used in the past, they're going to go to Google to search for ones in the local area.
Yeah.
And the only way for you to show up is for you to have a Google My Business profile that is polished with, reviews, with your service area, with the keywords put in to explain what services you'll provide. There's a lot of different intricacies that go along with your Google My Business profile. I'm not going to get into all of them, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure your service area is correct. You want to make sure that you've got a solid amount of photos and that you're getting reviews.
Yeah.
Because reviews are a huge part of this. That's how Google primarily ranks you against competitors in your area, is by reviews. So it's really important to get those reviews if you want to show up and get jobs for free, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a podcast once a week for the next 2 years on this alone.
Yeah.
On how to do this. I mean, there's going into like AI optimization to where, chat suggesting you when someone's looking for stuff, because that's kind of the new Google. But there's a lot of intricacies with this. The main thing we want to drive in is Google My Business, a good website that's professionally done, looks put together, kind of shows what you're doing, has a lot of contact spots where people can reach out quickly. But this organic web traffic that we're talking about, not only people finding you, but a lot of times it's, someone suggested your company, and they go and their neighbor goes and searches it. And if you're a ghost online, you're going to lose that client.
Yeah.
And you've spent the time and effort to get that referral, to do so well in that job that someone's suggesting you. They say, oh yeah, they're awesome. Their name is, AAA exterior renovations. You should check them out. And they go to search for you, and it's a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
You lost that lead. It's a lead that's just gone. If they can search your name and it pulls up in Google, and you kind of pop up on the Google Maps because you're utilizing the Google My Business profile, they can see your reviews. It's verification. They're going to read all of the reviews you have. They're going to look at the 1 stars and see your responses, like all of that stuff that has to be maintained. If you do it well, that is really kind of, outside of word of mouth, the best secondary thing you can be doing to capture those.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one down our list is, I kind of moved this up from another spot because it kind of fits into the next move.
Okay.
But yard signs, job site visibility, and physical marketing. This is probably the cheapest spend per conversion. Yard signs. We kind of have 2 different yard signs. We have one that is 4x4 post wooden that we built that has a really nice sign on it. Those we're putting in the ground on our large scale projects. If we're going to be in a house for a 3-week bathroom, we're not doing that. We're putting the yard signs that are just kind of the stakes that you put in the ground. You capture neighbors all the time on that. Now, again, you gotta have a good product, right?
Yeah.
If someone says, "Hey, how's that renovation? I saw y'all were doing something. I saw the sign." Like, do not use these guys. Then we got a problem, right? But really, the yard signs and job visibility and those type of physical marketing that you're doing, shirts for the guys, that sort of thing, is really a kind of boosting. It's a little gas on the flame of word of mouth. It's not expensive to have some yard signs. One of the biggest things that we do and that we push is we don't do door-to-door sales, but every single project that we're on, we're going to meet at least 5 neighbors, 1 on each side and the 3 across the street. And what we want to do is walk up to them as our project manager, have a business card or a door hanger leave behind, and we're not selling our services. This is our Trojan horse approach. You walk up and you say, "Hey, just wanted to let you know we are doing a kitchen renovation across the street. My guys are going to be running saws outside. We're going to be parking on the street. If we get in your way, if we block your driveway, if we're running saws at 11 o'clock at night, here's my business card. Call me. I want to make sure that this renovation is enjoyable for the whole block, not just my client. So if there's anything you need, here's my number. Give me a call if we're bothering you in any way. Help me make sure that this is a really good experience for the whole neighborhood." That in and of itself, the client's like, "Oh, interesting. Y'all do kitchens. You want to give me a bid?" Like, you don't have to ask for this for the marketing at that point.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy gets it. They care about, like, if you care about the neighbors, how well are you going to take care of my house? Right? So leave behinds, neighborhood, like door hangers like that. If I'm going door to door selling, "Hey, do you guys need any renovations?" People are like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But if you're going and introducing yourself as "Hey, we're working on the street. I want to make sure that if there's any issues, disturbances that happen, if some guy runs a saw on my job site after hours and when we shouldn't be, I want you to call me, send me a text, let me know, and I'll make sure that I take care of it."
Yep. One thing to note as far as physical marketing goes is you need a way to track it.
Yeah.
It's probably the hardest thing to track because there's no metrics, there's no data. It's just out there, right? So one thing that I would suggest if you do go along with that strategy is having a way to know where your clients are coming from.
Yep.
So you can say, "Oh, well, those signs we put out did work, right?
Yeah.
Or those leave behinds we made did work." Because the last thing you want to do is spend time and money on an effort for marketing and then not know if it worked or not.
Yep.
Right. So that's just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, that's really good. One thing we've done also, we're actually about to do again in another neighborhood, is we did one house. We did like a $200,000 kitchen and bathroom thing on a property. One of the neighbors across the street landed that one, did some work for them, did some work for someone else. We had someone that was like 4 miles away that goes walking every single day, and they walk past that house, even though it's 4 miles. It's an 8-mile round trip that they walk, and it just so happens they walk past our sign. We're starting a $250,000 renovation of their basement because of that. And so we, in this one little neighborhood area, landed 5 projects in the last 6 months. And so what we're doing is we're going to go back to those clients and say, "Hey, I know we've been done for a couple months. We're about to do a little bit of a mini marketing campaign to anyone that wants us. Would you mind me putting a sign out for another week and a half in your yard?" "Yeah, that's fine. That's fine." And then we'll put 5 signs in 5 yards on a Monday. And at the same time, we're going to drop mail outs to the entire neighborhood. "Hey, we're working in your neighborhood if you need anything." And the logo matches the signs, and it all is succinct. And now we got another 400 people that are driving through their neighborhood, and all of a sudden we have 5 signs out in their neighborhood. And they get home and they open up their mail, and they got a piece of mail from us saying, "Hey, if you need anything, we'd love to give you a free estimate. We're working in the neighborhood on multiple properties." That sort of thing. It is killer. If you can get that, owning a neighborhood, you can really, really get a lot of work done. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Move on.
That's my favorite one. You could do the rest of them. That's my.
All right. So getting back to sort of the organic digital marketing,
Yeah.
the next thing on here is social media. A lot of people think social media is the end all be all. It is the thing that they need to put the most time and effort into to get famous or to go viral.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, for contractors, it's not as important as most people think. Majority of clients find you there. There's no real way for people to search contractors near me on Facebook, and they don't really do that. They go to Google for that.
Yeah.
The only real benefit social media has for you is if you're posting regularly and you've got good quality photos. The people who follow your account, which are usually just your immediate friends and family and extended friend group, are going to keep updated, and it's going to remind them every now and again that, hey, you exist, and maybe you'll get a few jobs from that. The main benefit, in my opinion, is guerrilla marketing on social media. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of Facebook groups in different communities. For instance, one example could be like, we're in Roswell, Georgia right now. It could be the Roswell Moms group.
Yeah.
And we've seen this tactic work plenty of times in many different locations. But finding one of those groups that you can get into that has a ton of people in the local area, and obviously not join as your company, but join as yourself, or if your wife or husband is in any of these groups, and search for, people asking for advice on contractor recommendations, or, if you're looking for, recommendations for decks or exteriors, anything construction related that could maybe lead to a lead for your business. Identify those and suggest yourself, or have, your wife or husband suggest you. And so you don't want to do it for, like I said, from your business account. People see that and they're like, oh, this business is just promoting themselves. It doesn't mean as much. But if it's an outside person promoting you, it carries a lot more weight inside these groups. And you want to have your page built up to a spot where if people come check you out, they're going to be like, oh, this is a real company.
Yeah.
Checks out. Same thing goes along with when you start running meta ads on Facebook and Instagram. People are going to come check out your account.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it's at a solid place.
For the free organic social media, one of the things I did when I was a one-man show is my wife, like you mentioned, joined the moms groups around, and she's probably in 5 different moms groups throughout around Atlanta. And anytime that anyone was like, hey, we're looking to do a kitchen, anyone have a contractor they like? She would post and then come back and post again and just be like, hey, use this company. They're awesome. And really, I would feel the effect of it. I would almost get like 2-3 phone calls. I'm like, where'd this all come from? She's like, oh, I posted on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But she's not posting, hey, use these guys, but she's responding to people asking.
Yep.
And that's more of the like referral base.
Yeah, it's like the word of mouth psychology.
Yeah.
It's not the same as, a community of, people face to face close, but there's something about those groups that people just trust inherently.
Yep. The other thing that we do social media for, and it's less on the marketing side, but the organic social is your book of work you've done.
Yeah, it's your portfolio.
It's your portfolio,
Yeah.
so clients can come see you. So like Emory mentioned a second ago, even if we're doing paid ads, the next step of someone clicking on a paid ad is checking you out. And if you've got 3 posts and one was a happy new year from 2 years ago and the one before that was you and your kids, they're like, this is this isn't big enough for me.
That's why I say bare minimum is once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You want a bare minimum once every 2 weeks. I mean, just so people can look and see. Because, the last thing you want is someone checking you out and, like, you haven't posted in a year.
Yeah.
And then you've got, 20 followers and they're like, oh.
Yep.
You could be, your Google My Business page could have 400 reviews and you've been in business for 20 years, but that one person went to your Facebook and it didn't add up to what they were expecting. And it's all about first impressions. That's where the majority of this stuff sort of boils down to, is what is the potential client going to think when they interact with my company for the first time?
That's right.
Whether that's your website, your digital profile, your logo, it kind of goes into all that different stuff. So wrapping up social media, I'd just say make sure that you at least post once every 2 weeks. Once a week is optimal.
Yeah.
More than that if you can. But don't spend a ton of time on it, because again, it's a digital portfolio. It's more than likely not going to bring you leads. It's just going to clarify to people that you are a real company and establish that trust.
I've seen coaching clients come in and they're usually one of two extremes. Either they don't have a single thing posted and there's
Yeah.
nothing, or they are like trying to be the next TikTok star and they're doing like selfies, walkthroughs of every job site. Like there's a happy medium where I'm capturing job sites. We pay a professional photographer. Once we finish a really nice project, we're going to send them out there and take photos so we can use it on social. But I don't need you to be posting daily from your job sites. You're not going to go viral. Like it's just not going to happen.
Well, I mean, even if you do go viral, how many of those people are in your area, that can actually use you?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the argument that I always have with people that, you know, are like that, where it's like, okay, I understand you're making cool videos. I'm not saying I don't like reels. I actually do support, you know, the occasional reel that people make videos about their job sites, educational stuff, cool stuff.
Yep.
I don't mind that. I think that actually does help. But if your intention is to make that your full-time job to go viral,
the ROI is not there.
the people who are watching it more than likely aren't going to be able to use your services.
Yep.
So it's like, why invest the time and effort into it?
That's right. All right. So number 5 and 6 are very similar on the list. They're both paid. So walk us through paid web traffic. What does that look like? And you can kind of combine those together if you want, but lead us through those, Emory.
So there's 2 different types of web ads, digital ads that we kind of talk through, and that's Google ads and meta ads. And by meta ads, I mean Facebook and Instagram. Those are the 2 primary digital ad sources you're going to be using. And I think there's different instances that you would use each.
Yeah.
It really all depends on your area. It depends on what you're trying to sell. It depends on who your competitors are in your area. There's a lot that goes into marketing that is more about thinking through your area and the data around you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is if you are in a rural area, you're one of 4 contractors in the 100-mile radius. You don't have a lot of competition. It's going to be very easy for you to sort of dominate that market. You could probably spend a relatively small amount on each different ad service and completely dominate that area. On the flip side of that, there's probably not as many people in the area, and there might not be as many people that are actually going to social media or going to SEO, sorry, going to Google to find people, right? So you always got to weigh the pros and cons of each thing when we're talking about marketing and understanding your market, doing market analysis. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but at the end of the day, what you want to do is put yourself into the brain of your client and understand, what are they looking for? Where are they finding me? What area are they located in? Is there a particular area in my remote or my location that I don't want to work in? You know, is there a place that it's really hot and there's a lot of like high-end houses that I really want to work in? Identifying as much information you can helps with all this stuff, because when you do build ads or you hire someone to build ads for you and run them, as much information as you can provide, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
So the first step in any paid advertising is understanding your market and understanding where you're going after, basically.
Great. And it's like, there might be a really high-end area of town that is like really, really ritzy and lots of money. It's like, oh, I want to go after that. But it might be an area that all new construction over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather go after an area that was a 20 to 30-year-old homes that are, it's affluent enough that they've got cash and they're ready to go and they've built some equity and they want to do a renovation or addition. But the house is old and it needs some help. Right. And so thinking through that and who we're going to target, who's our target demographic and market that we're going after. And then we're going to A/B test different things where you're putting out 2 different ads and this one got a lot more clicks than this one. So I'm going to take that one. I'm going to make 2 of those variations and keep going over and over till we find a couple that really hit. And then we're going to dump cash on that couple, $2, $3, $5 a month just towards those specific ads that are working the best.
Yeah. The last couple things I'll say about paid ads is a couple things to note. If you are in a high urban area, right? If you're in an area with a lot of people, a lot of different contractors, especially ones that have been established for a long time, more than likely they're going to be spending a lot of your competitors are going to be spending a lot of money on Google Ads. And it's going to be very costly for you to break in through them.
Get to the top.
Because Google's going to promote the people that they think are paying the most, or that are paid the most, basically. So that's one thing to know for Google Ads. Meta ads, I like better for companies with a smaller budget and companies in bigger areas, because it allows you to sort of be the only person you're stacked up against. Because when, I don't know, most people, you know, you probably have Instagram or Facebook. When you're scrolling through and you see an ad, 9 times out of 10, the company is the only, there's only one company in that ad, right? Like there's not comparing you to anyone, versus on Google Ads, you are compared against 5, 6, 7 different companies. Because when you, like I said, when you search contractors in my area, first thing that shows up is the sponsored Google My Businesses. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Versus Meta, you are just seeing the company that has posted that ad. And if you use Facebook or Instagram for a little bit and try to notice that, you'll see what I'm talking about. But for Meta, it's usually cheaper to get into. You're not competing with anyone in the immediate ad space. And it's also, like I said, it's an easier entry into the ad space. So it does take a little bit more work because you got to do photos. It's a lot different in terms of how these things work. And I mean, the last thing I'll say about these ads is that if you don't know what you're doing, please do not try to run these yourself. Both Meta and Google ads you can get so complicated with how you do everything. And if you just say, I'm just going to do it, I'll figure it out, you're more than likely just going to waste money.
Throwing money.
So whether you do a class online, whether you find someone in your area that can run those for you, always make sure that you know what you're doing before you start throwing money at these ads, because you can and will waste money if you're not prepared.
Yeah. And if you come into coaching with ProStruct, you get every 6 months, Emory does a full marketing assessment on you. So we start with anyone in our growth or executive program. Part of the onboard in the first couple months is Emory's going to do a full assessment of your web presence. Like if someone's looking for you, how are they finding you? What do you look like to them? And then at 6 months, let's check in and do it. If you need something, hey, month 3, hey, we're looking at running ads. Can you help me? We don't do a ton of ad running for people. We have, but for the most part, we're kind of consultants on it and help you make a game plan and understand what you should and shouldn't be doing. So definitely, if you're interested in the coaching or the support from ProStruct 360 in any way, reach out and we can have a conversation what that looks like.
So the next thing I want to talk about is website. Website is probably in the top 3 of importance of anything that we've talked about here. Mainly because it affects everything. Your Google My Business. If someone goes to your Google My Business, they're going to click on your website more than likely. Social media. Someone goes to your Facebook page, there's probably a pretty good chance they're going to go to your website if they want to contact you.
Even if a neighbor refers you, everyone's going to check you out there.
If you run ads, if people look up your name, I mean, there's so many, it affects everything in the digital space, your website. And it goes back to what I said earlier about your first impression. If you do not have a professional website and you are targeting professional high-end clients, they will
go past you.
They won't even consider you. You have to build your website for the audience that you are looking for. A lot of people like to build things in the image of what they like. For instance, you build a website that you think looks cool,
showing off what you like.
You build a logo that you think looks awesome.
Yeah. But I love woodworking, so look at all of this really high end woodwork I did on this project.
Exactly. I mean, you could be like a big, let's say you're a big sports fan and you model your whole company off of like a sports logo, right? Or sports colors, your local sports area. And you model your website, your colors, everything after it. And you live in an area where people maybe don't really care about sports, right?
Or cheer for the other team.
And the majority, or cheer for the other team, right? Maybe you're in Auburn and you build an Alabama themed contracting company, right? Like something like that, where
As I'm wearing my University of Georgia T-shirt
right.
on the podcast.
I mean, that's just an example of
Yeah.
you want to build everything in your company towards what you think your clients will like.
Yep.
Because like I said, going back to the sports, if your clients are all high end people who maybe don't care about sports, or maybe it's a sports team from a different city that you're in concurrently that they'd have no connection to.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you. They're not going to connect with you on it more than likely. If you're doing high end new construction where people are spending, $500 to $1 million building homes with you, your website better be immaculate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your website has to match the product that you are pushing, because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
That's the first impression.
We always say, like, as part of the onboarding when we're doing the coaching, and we said it on this past retreat and back in January, you're from the first contact looking at your website until the final invoice, we're telling a story and we're building that story in our client's brain as to who we are.
Yeah.
And so anywhere along each of those steps, you can really drop the ball and not get that referral. But from that first contact on your website, they're like, oh, these are legitimate. This is a legitimate company.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the next step. Or, okay, they have 3 misspelled words in the first paragraph. They're not a high detail company. Like that's subconsciously being planted in your client's head by what they're seeing online. So
yeah, I mean, and the other thing to note too is that we are so used to being online now. We're so used to websites. We're so used to, almost every website that we look up is clean, polished. There's a certain expectation there and if you have a broken website or one that's not polished, maybe one that you just threw together, people are going to notice it immediately.
2004.
It's not going to they're not just going to look past it. They're going to be like, oh, well, they're going to notice it, whether they could still continue and message you or whatever. But the last thing I'll say about the website is you shouldn't be afraid of the website. And what I mean by that is it can be very daunting to approach creating a website for the first time. Yeah. A lot of people do want to go the route of building it themselves because websites are expensive. And if you're just starting, you don't want to spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a website. So if you do decide to build your own website, go to YouTube. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. Spend as much time as you can looking through how to build a website on whatever platform you choose. I personally use WordPress. Wix is good too. Squarespace. There's a couple of other ones that are pretty easy to use, but really spend some time watching videos. And honestly, when you're watching the videos too, you'll know really quickly whether or not you think you can do it or not. It'll kind of like make it up in your mind. Like some people will be like, oh yeah, I understand this. Let's give it a try. Some people will be like, I can't even remotely begin to understand this. And that's totally fine. You need to know that. Yeah. And even if you don't decide to build your own website, the more knowledge that you have about websites will help you when you do go to someone eventually to say, hey, I need a website. And you can kind of explain to them what you want it to look like.
And we ProStruct does build custom construction websites. We've got a really kind of deep knowledge as to how to SEO it and make it to where it looks very professional. I mean, but it's $5,000-ish, depending on what. I mean, it goes up and down from there depending on what you want. If you're just getting started, go to Wix, spend some time, get something there. Once we save up some cash, let's throw some money at getting a real optimized website. We'll help put it together for you. Mm-hmm. Or if you have someone else doing it, we'll help coach on that. I mean, we're consultants on that side. So that's it. Have something over nothing. It's not hard, especially in today's AI world, to build something semi-decent on your own and then save up some cash and get a real professional one done that's really optimized for your area and for what you're doing. Yeah. All right, the next 2 things on our list are very similar. Again, number 7, number 8, but they're different. So let me cover those. Number 7 is trade partners and referrals. This faucet, architects, designers, realtors, people that are saying, hey, I know these guys, I've worked with them, and they're awesome, you should use them. These are really kind of, if I was ranking, these are pretty close to top of the list after some website and organic and that sort of thing. I'd rather you have 4 architects that you're talking with that are sending you jobs over having a social media page. Having trade partners that were referring clients to you, people don't shop. If your real estate agent says, hey, use this company to paint your house, you're not shopping. You're like, that's who they said to use. They're the professional. I'm going to use these guys. So having those relationship-based referrals are something that really allows you to have people feeding in. So a way to get these, right? Some guys are like, how do I find architects to give me stuff? Well, as soon as I get a job that might need an architect, I'm going to go shop 5 architects and say, hey, tell me about how you work. I'm expanding. I'm needing an architect on our team. And I'm making those connections with 4 or 5 of them. And I might, if I get a project, I'm going to find 2 and send my first project to both those guys and say, hey, give me an assessment of what you're looking at doing. But I'm trying to make those relationship connections to build my team. Because I will need an architect in the future and a designer in the future. But also now there's 4 or 5 guys that I've called and talked to that might refer business back to me. We've got plenty of architects that just send us stuff like, hey, use these guys, because for them, the headache is I don't want to refer a contractor and they screw my client. And now the client's blaming me because what my contractor did. So I always lay that out in that conversation. Hey, for a real estate agent, I know your reputation is the most important thing. So when you refer people to me, that's the mantle I carry, that I need to make sure your reputation is held high. And so that's a great faucet if you have a good reputation and can start building those relationships where you're referring stuff back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the word of mouth that we talked about at the very beginning, right? Like, you have to have a quality product, and it helps you with everything.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you said was like, if you have these relationships, a lot of the digital stuff becomes obsolete. And it's true, right? Like, if you're buying a house and your realtor's like, hey, I suggest using this contractor, and they just give you a phone number.
Yeah.
They're just going to call that phone number.
Yes.
I mean, there's some people obviously that'll look you up and vet you. And
if someone spent 10 grand with an architect and the architect's like, use these guys.
Yeah.
That's who they're using.
Majority of the time, they're just going to call you and they're not even going to vet you.
Yes.
Right. But some people will. And, that's why all of the marketing that we're talking about today all adds together.
Yes.
It's all just one big wheel that
builds,
spins, and helps. Everything helps everything.
That's right.
So yeah.
Number 8, very similar to 7, but it's a little bit different. So it's strategic partnerships and niche channels. So this is property management companies, HOA, specialties. We do ADUs. We do age in place. I work with the 203K lenders. One big strategic partnership we had that we actually did marketing together was a lender that specializes in barn dominium funding. There's not a lot out there that do that. And so we got with her and did some co-marketing of like, hey, she will fund it. We will build it. What ideas do you, like, what do you want done? To where it was something where anytime that someone came to her, like, hey, we're looking at building, we want to see how much we can get approved for. She's like, great, here's a contractor you should use. Right. And vice versa. Hey, when we have a client come in looking to do a barn dominium, I'm like, hey, who's doing your financing? You should use her, because for both of us, if I know how she works and she knows how I work, it makes both of our products better, to where I can help handle that relationship with the lender because I've got a relationship there, and vice versa. She knows the contractor and she knows that I'm going to give her the paperwork we need. So having those type of partnerships, you can co-market it together. You can really kind of tag team clients. Like I said, VAs, we do a lot of VA loans. We got lenders that love us because we know the hoops and the red tape and what we got to jump through to get it done. And so they're always like, hey, use these guys. They're the best for me, right? Because they love having that partnership and that niche channel. All right, we got 2 more. Number 9, networking and local presence, which this is kind of higher up on the list in terms of kind of the word of mouth. But this is Chamber of Commerce, the BNI groups, the, getting in, and again, this kind of goes back to your original point. I've got a client that is in a small town that we're doing, I'm pushing him towards doing, not small, he's a medium to small town, but he wants to own kind of an area. We're sponsoring the baseball team. right? We're getting a sign out, and we're doing. He did the parade that their little town does, and he had a float in the parade. In Atlanta, I'm not doing that. I'm not sponsoring a baseball team day one. I'm not getting in parades day one. That's a lot of money and a lot of time for one very localized push. Billboards and stuff like that. That's a lot of cash for a single localized push. But it depends on your market, like you were talking about earlier with the other marketing. Like, who am I trying to go after?
Yeah.
And how do we get my name out here in this community?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. If you're, like I said, if you're in a small town, Google My Business and all these other digital things we talked about may not be that effective.
Yeah.
Because people just, that's not how they find contractors. They're fully word of mouth focused. They care about who you know and, you know, your reputation. And if that's the case, and sponsoring, you know, a baseball team or putting up a billboard or, you know, sponsoring the local farmers market, you know, stuff that we traditionally would push against because, you know, realistically,
there's more bang for your buck on Facebook.
Yeah, there's more bang for your buck on these paid ads that are tried and vetted, but it all depends on your circumstances. It all depends on your market. It all depends where you're located. That's why I say information is the most powerful tool in marketing. Yeah. Because if you don't know your market, you're just going to lose money.
And that's honestly one of the best parts of partnering with us at ProStruct is Emory doesn't care about your face looking famous on a billboard. We care about getting you the most jobs. And so we've had guys wanting to do marketing a certain way because they just want a billboard or they just really want to have this. And so it's like, let's make a strategic plan around that. If you want to spend $2,000 on a billboard, cool, do it. I don't care, but that's not going to get us the return that we're looking for. Let's spend that here. Let's try it here. Right. And so having an outsider that doesn't have the emotional attachment to what you want, but more of what's the best for your market in your area, that's where we suggest where you should spend your cash on marketing.
We've had vice versa too, where we've suggested that someone sponsor a baseball team or do a billboard or just, you know, like I said, it all depends on the market.
That's right. Last one on here is more for commercial. It's the bid list, requests for proposals, the RFPs, and commercial channels, plan rooms, bid platforms, owner direct invites, repeat commercial clients, and public bid lists. There's all sorts of that. We can go down deep, even for non-commercial, going into a lot more commercial, but going into like bidding on military things and government accounts. There's all sorts of bid rooms that you can go and apply. So that's a whole different channel. It's very a niche channel for the people that are in that world. But it's definitely one that we want to put on the list as it's a great faucet to have to be able to turn on and get work from. All right, those are our main channels to go out after. Emory, final closing words. If you're giving someone advice, what is the best advice at this point? And again, everyone's at different stages, but how are we pushing them up the marketing ladder to professionalism?
Well, it all starts out with your base, and your base is basically all the organic stuff we talked about. So first things first, you want to have word of mouth. You want to have people recommending you. That's obviously probably one of the harder things on this whole thing to accomplish, mainly because it's all focused on you. You have to provide a good product, right?
Yeah.
So that's got to be number one on your priority list. Have a good product where people will recommend you. Number two is, like I said, the organic stuff. Go ahead and make a social media. Post once every 2 weeks. Share it to your friends. Just build that up.
Yeah.
Make a Google My Business page. It's free. It's not that hard. Super easy to do. Just have it. Even if you don't have a bunch of reviews, just have it on there.
Yeah.
And then a website. You're going to want a website. That's less organic because you have to pay for it, obviously. But this is something you should strive to have eventually. The other thing I will say, photos. This is something I didn't necessarily cover during this whole thing, but photos help everything.
Yeah.
Everything that you're doing online, anything you print out, any flyers you make, anything like that, like photos are king. You have to have some quality photos. And I'm not saying you can't use your iPhone every now and again to snap some good photos, but if you have a backlog of 20 to 50 professionally done really good photos, it can take you so far.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes with the first impression thing. If your photos look like crap, your work's going to look like crap. If your photos look awesome, your work's going to look awesome.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about perception and quality. And so it's really, really important to remember that always try to get really good photos of your really good work.
Yeah. If you're going to spend money anywhere,
Yeah.
pay $300, have a photographer go hit 3 of your job sites.
Even if you're not using it now.
Yeah.
Right. Or let's say you're working on an investor job and they're going to flip it.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I know you're going to bring in photographers to come snap photos of this place to list it.
Yeah.
Can I go in half with you and
kind of throw you
use the
$100 and you
photos?
share those photos with me?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's creative ways to get it, but the last thing you want to do is build something absolutely amazing and then take it with your iPhone and it look like crap.
Yeah.
Or maybe like your iPhone like 8 or something, right? Like have one of your crews take the photo and like, no, you want to take advantage of the quality work that you've created and get really good photos. It helps everything.
That's good. I think also like a bigger zooming out for me too is like marketing isn't something you start when you're out of jobs.
Yeah.
Right. It is a constant build of momentum that we're creating. So if I need work tomorrow, I'm too late to start marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is a oiled machine that you have to build and test and check out. And every city is different. Every area and town is different. Every personality and style and what you do. Like there's no cookie cutter way to do this.
Yeah.
So it just takes time and effort, starting with what Emory said with the website and Google My Business and trying to get the base foundation blocks in place, and then growing from there and kind of having a strategic thought monthly on what are we doing next? How is that growing? How do we get the next round of people hearing about us? So, well, cool. Thanks for joining us, Emory.
Yeah, of course.
If you guys want help with any of this stuff, if you want to meet with me or if you want to meet with Emory, reach out, go to contractorcuts.com, book a time. We give free 30-minute consulting if you want help with anything or thoughts around anything. Or if you want to hear about coaching and what that entails, set up a meeting. I'd love to tell you about it myself. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye.